As someone who served in the U.S. military, I believe I have a certain right to make some complaints, not just about the service in general, but about the politicians that order the soldiers into harm's way, about anything at all, really. I don't know if I have more of a right to say things like that because I served than for those who have not served. But I will say this. It's incredibly disturbing to me to find that in certain countries, people are being arrested for things that they say on Facebook that are critical of their own nation's military. I mean, think about it. Can you imagine if, back during the Vietnam conflict, if the journalists who reported on the My Lai massacre were arrested for criticizing their military? This is happening now to everyday people, not just journalists. In Pakistan, there's been a crackdown on online anti-army campaigners. Basically, 33 people, because of their comments on Facebook, have been arrested and charged under a new law that makes it a crime to criticize the army. Now, are things that different between Pakistan and the United States? I mean, granted, you look at the form of government and, well, we've got a military junta basically in charge in Pakistan versus the military-industrial complex that's in charge in the United States. You've got people who vote in both countries. You've got the general populace who are encouraged to get all riled up about patriotism. I mean, look at the potential conflict brewing between Pakistan and India. Actually, it's not just potential. I mean, they've basically been in a state of war. They're on the borderlands for, 50 years or more? So I think it's entirely possible, especially given some of the comments that have been made lately about putting journalists in jail, that we could see this kind of crackdown in the United States against people who make comments on Facebook. Is that alarming to you? I think it should be. I think that free speech ought to be encouraged because what it reveals when somebody tries to crack down on those who are saying things that they disagree with is that basically they're admitting you have a very good point. I don't, however, have an argument against what you're saying, and therefore, instead of engaging you to try to win the argument, or even just to make a point where we can kind of make sure that both of our viewpoints have been explained thoroughly, I'm just going to shut you up because I don't want anyone else being convinced by your clever logic. I've seen this happen in terms of people getting fired from their jobs for saying something that the boss didn't like. And obviously, if it's any boss has a right to fire any employee for any reason. I don't think that you need to have the government step in and say, oh, you don't have a right to fire someone. But I think that if there were a truly level playing field, without government interventions and without it becoming a law, that these things would work themselves out eventually. I don't know anybody who likes to work for someone who snoops through their Facebook and says, well, you said something here that I don't agree with, so I'm going to fire you. And I don't think it should be that way for criticism of the government either. That's my 2 cents. Love to engage you on this topic. Send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com. And remember, the phone lines are open. I'm in my studio every day right around noon, Alaska time. Just follow the link right there at the website, radiofreespeech.com.